Hey guys, welcome to another edition of On Social, the show that talks about everything that has to do with live streaming, the internet, social media, marketing, all the good stuff that you need to further your business. I'm your host, Stephen Haywood, and I'm also here with Marty McFadden from PodJam.tv. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Stephen. How are you?
I am doing well, and this is one of the last weeks until the final episode that you're going to be with us, so you won't be here next week.
No, I'm gonna be on the
Yeah.
road.
Tell everybody where you're going to be. Well, us up here in the frozen northeast of the United States.
Well, no, I mean, it's a business, of course. I'll be
Oh,
in
of
Miami
course.
for a few. I gotta work. I work for a living. What are you gonna do, right?
Yeah.
So,
Also,
hey, listen, somebody's got to do it.
yeah,
So
this is true. Also, we've got the future Emmy award winning Jeffrey Fitzgerald from Jeff and TV. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, it's always good to be with you guys, Steve. I just want to say that my tour is going to take me through Svetlandia and Siberia, and that's where I need to be here in the wintertime. So
Well, we look forward to seeing either superimposed in your background
that's right.
or because there's some changes coming here for the show in January, or like you can just kind of hold them up and be like, yeah, this is yeah, Emmy award winning, and he's
Well,
graced us
we'll
with his
see.
presence.
Yeah, well, the thing is that when you're with good friends, good things happen, right? And today we're talking about something that's probably the most important part of the conversation when you talk about live video, which is, number one, what's your why? Why are you doing it? You're not doing it to not ask for something, right? But in how you ask is where all the, where the marvelous magic is. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited because I know a lot of people out there have been asking this. They do video with their iPhone. They'll do video with maybe a GoPro and upload it to Instagram later or some of these other platforms. But Marty, you've actually put together a pretty nice outline here that we're gonna go through. And there's a gentleman in the chat room, Alex McDonald, bringing up a good point about the chat room situation. So what we did was we actually started with the help of Joe Zahitis a Discord channel, and this is something that we're trying to build a community where you guys can kind of hang out in there. And if you have broadcasting, marketing type questions that have to do with live video, you can kind of put it in there. And usually there's people lurking in there. So it's a great way, even after the show, to interact with, say, guys like us or even guys that are in the audience. So we encourage you to do that. But if not, you're welcome to stay on the Facebook chat or the YouTube chat or wherever it is, LinkedIn. But we just have that there as an option, so we want to make that available to you. So, Marty, let's get going. Let's talk about call to action and what does that mean first off?
sometimes you'll hear it referred to as CTA. If you hear that expression or that term, stands for call to action. Call to action is just what it is. What it says, a call to action. So we're talking live streaming video or producing video. It's really kind of asking your viewer or giving them kind of an instruction or a next step or something to take another action. So, what would that entail? It might involve, and I'll start. I'll kind of start going through it. We kind of created some examples of what good call to actions are. So I'll kind of take the first one on the list here, and you could always ask a question of your audience during a show. So normally, what we'll do is we'll in the chat we'll get questions. We'll get plenty of questions during the show when we're doing shows, and we'll certainly try to answer them. But if you're producing a show, you can certainly turn the tables on your audience and ask them a question. And the reason why that's important is, again, with all these calls to action, is you want to create engagement after the show or after the fact, and you want to keep that engagement going. So, a good kind of to back up a little bit, a good example of Stephen, what you were going through with the Discord chat. Our hope with that is that's kind of a call to action, right? So not only during the show, it's kind of one area that we can kind of coalesce in live and kind of see live comments, and we're still working that through, but also because it's a platform that stays persistent and stays up 24/7. It's think of it as kind of a never-ending stream of, now it's not video, but it's text, and it's never-ending conversation, and you can go in there and ask questions. And we as hosts, or you as a host, if you wanna have a show, you can ask that question. So we're doing video. So maybe a question that we might ask on a show is, okay, guys, what kind of camera are you guys using? Or what do you hope? What is your biggest problem when it comes to live streaming? Things like that might be a question that we might ask as hosts. And then we can go to a chat channel, maybe our Discord, and see what you guys come up with for answers and have that engagement there. And again, in the interest of promoting engagement, it's a really good way, not only during the show, to increase that engagement, especially when you're live streaming, but also before and after the fact. And it's all, and Steve and I, we were talking a little bit pre-show about building community, and it
Mhm.
really is all about building your community because ultimately that's really what you want to build on when you're doing this stuff is you want to kind of own it, and it's kind of our community, and that's a good way to do it is have put that CT out there, the call to action, ask a question of the audience would be a good place to start.
Awesome. Jeff, do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, I think that one of the misnomers about a call to action is that it only happens at the end of your video. If you think about it, we start a show up and you're talking about what's coming, and that hook at the beginning is always really important. It's the kind of thing where you could say, go to the web right now and put yourself in for a competition, or in the chat, I should say. But put something in the chat, put a 5 in there if you want to be entered into a drawing at the end of the show. Those things are calls to action, and they happen all throughout a show many times. And so, um, it's one of these things where, if you overthink it, sometimes it gets to be analysis paralysis. But at the end of the day, just as Marty said, it's something that is extremely important, and you need to know what you're asking your audience to do and why you're asking them to to have some success with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that with contests, we brought up about contests. I see a lot of guys, that they say, "Well, Jeff, the only reason people come to watch my live stream is because I'm advertising that I'm giving something away." Like, is that is that something that maybe that should be avoided for a call to action, or is there a certain way to handle that, or does that just kind of come with the territory?
Not if you're in radio, because that's what they've done for 50 years is, be the ninth caller and you're gonna get the album of Elvis or Elton John or whatever, right? I mean, there's a reason why you're trying to engage with your audience. It's just another tool in the tool belt. But it depends on what you're trying to do there. I mean, if your whole thing is nothing but ring bomb parties, and Sarah gets a ring and it's worth $50, I mean, that's a whole different kind of Facebook Live. But I think you have to really think through it. Again, this goes back to bigger things we've talked about in the past, which are, the planning of your show. What are you trying to do to begin with? And then you build in where these points are when you look at it and say, okay, this is where I want my audience to do something that will benefit them and will certainly engage the show.
Yeah, can I add something to that? I think that it, and one caution on the contest, and I think Jeff, I think you were kind of alluding to it, is it's great. And we see a lot of people do it, and everyone loves to win prizes. In fact, we work with clients. I work with clients producing live streams, and many times during those live streams, we have a giveaway, and what we find is that it does attract people to come into your live stream, and it's good for the client, it's good for the viewer and all that. But you also it's kind of a slippery slope too. So you don't want to necessarily use it just as a gaming technique to gain viewers. You want it kind of like an add-on, but I would say of all the ones that we're presenting here, that would be the one I would caution more is, and you also want to make it related to your topic, right? So it's not, I think that is something like if you're doing a tech show, it's probably going to be some piece of tech or maybe something like that. You're not going to like give away, a book on gardening, I guess, or whatever, but something that's related,
Yeah.
right? You know, just because you have it, just because you can give it away. I mean, because you want it's all you want to make it related, you want to make it make sense with the topic. But again, it's I think used judiciously. I think it's a good tactic, and I think you certainly can increase engagement with that.
Absolutely. And I think what we have next here on the plate here, create a poll and ask viewers to vote. I mean, this is something that we've seen when you're doing something like a show like this. What kind of topics do you like? Do you prefer us talking about social media? Do you prefer us talking about hardware? Do you prefer us talking about cameras, microphone? And you put that in a poll, and you can kind of judge and get a gist of your audience to find out what are they really into when you're covering such a broad spectrum that we do here. And we've done that. We've solicited groups. We've gone out and some of the Facebook groups and they said, "Hey, what do you guys want us to talk about on social? What are some of the things that really intrigue you?" And these are some of the topics that have come up, which is why we're hitting some of these topics. But I think with directing your content, you want good content. It's great for you to have some kind of a polling utility or tool. And there's a lot of, I mean, guys, I don't know. I use ones that are online. I know Wirecast has one built in. Uh,
Mhm.
Little shameless plug for Wirecast, but it has one built in where you can do some polling. And I see a lot of good interaction with polls. Have you guys ever used it, Jeff? Have you used a poll in your broadcasting?
Yeah, I mean, regardless of the tool or the platform, polling is an extremely important and valuable part of the conversation between you as a host and the people that are interested in hearing what you have to say. And so again, I mean, it can be as simple as, put a 5 in the chat if you find this content valuable. It could be something obviously more direct and not so subtle where you're actually saying, go and do something. Hey, download this free ebook resource. This is going to change your life. And, as Marty said, even if you're giving away something, find a creative way to make that meaningful. So instead of just saying at the end of it, we're going to pull a name out of a fish bucket for a webcam, maybe it's write and tell us why this webcam would change your world. Or are you the most improved person who's been watching? And for you, we've got a special gift. And there's a contest where people vote on the top 3 finalists. There's a lot of ways you can kind of play that. It's just a matter of trying to figure out a way to really make it work for you and get the maximum return on that giveaway, right? So
Well, let's try something right now. So we have coming up here our Christmas holiday, right? It's the last show is what, the 19th, right? So what if
Mhm.
we said for those that show up on the 19th, you have an opportunity to win a copy of Wirecast. How would that be?
Ooh,
So we could put
I
this
like
to
that.
action.
yeah,
This is a great way. We always talk about let people see things in action, right? They've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly on this show, right? They've seen things crash. They've seen things, people can't get in. Audio breaks up. So here's a great opportunity to spread the word. On the 19th, we're going to give away a copy of Wirecast as a thank you for everybody that's come out here to watch this show. Um, and I'll make that executive decision right now, and we'll we'll give a copy of that because we want you guys to be
That's
using some
executive here.
really good gear. We want you to be using some of the best software that's out there on the planet. So we'll do that as our gift to you for tuning into the show. So spread the word. We'll kind of get that going out there, and let's see how much you guys normally know how many people are in here and how many people are chatting. Let's see if that increases because people want to try to win Wirecast. Do you think that's a tried and true
yeah, Marty.
Oh, I would. I mean, this like it's good to have the. All I can say is good to have the executive here to make the executive decision. That's always good. And Christmas come early, obviously.
Well, I
That's a
you know
good.
what? I think it'll be good because like I said, it's something like I said for Christmas, but it's something that people can grow with the show. They've seen us talk about it, they've seen us use it. And it's something we're able to do the show because of Telestream. And so right now, because Marty, you're going to talk about the next subject, but before you do that, I want to thank the folks over at Telestream. So if you don't want to wait for the giveaway, we've got a 30-day trial that you can get right now. You can get 10% off through that last day, December 19th. After that, you're not getting a discount. This date, that's what they told me. They said that's it. You got till the 19th at midnight. 10% off using the promo code on social 10 for Wirecast Studio or Wirecast Pro. This is one of the most powerful tools that we have here that we're using. All three of us are using. You can see on the webpage here all the comparison charts. Um, Telestream has really done a lot for us here in allowing us to do the show. And so I went to them. I said, "Hey, can we offer a discount code to the audience?" And they were like, "Absolutely." So there's another Christmas present. Man, we're dropping Christmas presents early, left and right, Jeff.
Well, I don't want to say that we talk a lot about influencers, but Santa uses Wirecast. And
This is true.
on the 19th, I'll even make this a little bit more interesting. We will have
Uh-oh.
another giveaway where I'll give an hour of live video one-on-one to help you get down the road and get where you want to go with your live video. And we'll be happy to do that as part of the show.
Wow. So
Wow.
so is that for the same person, or is it so we're doing 3 separate
I say we
giveaways?
give it away to somebody else.
Okay. Okay, we can do that. So we got 2 giveaways plus we got a discount code coming up the 19th. So you want to be here for the 19th. Well, you want to be here every week, but you want to be here especially for the 19th, and so that's coming. So there's some call to actions right there, folks. And Marty going into the next call to action.
Yes, and that's a true live, real life example of call to action giveaway, really. I mean, that's exactly what it should be. And that's a great example. In fact, that's a good example of something that's related to the show. Obviously, we're associated with Telestream, so it makes a lot of sense. And people that are going to tune into your show are probably going to be interested in that. That's another reason why it should be related. So you want to generate interest there. Going on to the next example, if you a good example is one of the uses for live streaming or for video in general is not only for personal, like a lot of these things could be hobbies or just personal that you want to get out. But you may have a business, and live streaming a video is great for promotion or demonstrating thought leadership in your particular area of expertise. And video and multimedia and live streaming is great for that. One of the things, if you have a live streaming show and you're talking about your business, you may have a product, and one CTA you could use is perhaps a free trial to your product or service. So, so say if you have is and this is especially this works especially great with a service or a subscription or a digital product, something that has something that's a subscribe or software or things like that. Even what Jeff was describing as far as an hour of Jeff's time as far as consulting, um, that could be a giveaway. That could be a CTA, but a free trial. So you may have a product, a subscription product, let's say, and you're just starting out and you want to generate interest. Well, what's a good, that's particularly good way to generate interest is to offer a free trial. Now you might already have a free trial. Say you have a 7-day free trial or 30-day free trial. This could be something on top of that. Could be something extra special. So, we get the holidays coming up, and you could tie to that or a special giveaway and make it special for your viewers, or tie it to some activity. You may want to build your Facebook page, or you may want to build your membership site, and it could be tied to that, where sign up for your email newsletter, which is a whole nother, probably could be a whole nother show on just email marketing.
Mm.
And when you're building community, that's one way to kind of own your community, but that could be a tie-in. And we kind of call it, and I'll kind of go on a little tangent here. You call that like a lead magnet, where you're getting a lead and you're giving away something in exchange for something else. So, a free trial is a great way to do that, or extended free trial is a great way to do that, especially if you have a product, and especially if you're trying to build something that's new. It's a great way to do it.
So Brad wants to know in the chat room before we get to Jeff here. Brad wants to know, are you going to give away free travel? Is that your call to
Oh my.
action?
The figures, I see that in the chat now. What
I
you
hey,
could,
I'm my ears perked up because I was like,
Hey, that's what I was going to say, Steve. That's breaking news. Brad says Marty's giving away free travel.
put you in my suitcase.
Yes.
Apparently, listen, I'm just relaying what the chat room's saying here. That's what happens when you do this live, right?
I will
I
say,
can always give free travel to Svellandia, wherever that is. So we know it's cold there. So.
well, I mean, Brad is in the, like, I think we're all kind of, I mean, Jeff is probably the most southern, but he's halfway down. Like you and I, Stephen, are kind of in the
Eastern
northern
area.
half of the country. So right now I have snow on the ground. I got 6 inches of snow on the ground.
Yeah, you guys don't
And
want
I
to
know
come up
Brad
here.
is in the north. Oh, you don't have any snow there?
I do. I have a couple inches, but that's what I said. They don't want to
Okay.
travel here.
No, not. And Brad's in the northern part of the country, so I'm heading to Miami next week. So that's probably.
Well,
I
I
should
think he's
run
insinuating that he go to Miami next week instead of you. You stay here and do the show. I think that's what he's trying to get at.
I think Brad is living in a fantasy world.
Having a little fun here. So these call to actions, they're gonna help you out. Jeff, We have another call to action. What's the other call to action we're going to talk about here?
Well, I'll tell you what, as we talked about, my machine went down right. I got in right as this thing popped up. I have not brought any notes up because I don't want to touch it until we're
Well,
done.
I
So how
will
about
help
you
you
show
out.
me the screen and I'll speak to it there. So obviously, a call to action for a sign up to a webinar, that is actually really important because what this is not just a call to action in and of itself. What this is doing is setting you up to be the expert where people can come and hear more in granular detail where you can move the needle for them, where you can transform them, and why there's value in that for them. So rather than saying, hey, everybody, at the end of the show, sign up for my webinar, take a moment and explain why it's valuable for somebody to stop what they're doing when there's so many other things that they can be doing and come and join this and learn from you. Because if you don't do that, I think you're making a mistake where you assume that people have got all day, and we see this so much with, and Marty, you could easily speak to this. It's a whole other subject we could talk about, which are podcasts. People who do podcasts will act like they've got 5 hours to interview somebody, but they don't respect the person's time when they're new at it. And when they get better, they get more concise. They learn how to ask better questions and make it tighter. The same thing is true for your calls to action. And if you can tell that story quickly and let people know why there's value there for them, you'll get them in. And so, webinar is a great way of bringing people into that whole opportunity to learn more about you and the community you're trying to build.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree, Jeff. I mean, and especially this kind of goes along with it, especially if you have a business and you're selling a service, or even it could even apply to, say you have a like a landscaping business, or you're a plumber, or something in the trades even. Um, a webinar, you could demonstrate simple do it yourself and demonstrate knowledge and kind of teach people how to kind of take care of minor issues on your own. And it's funny because it's kind of counterintuitive. So you're demonstrating, not only you're doing accomplishing 2 things. One, you're giving some free knowledge away, which is great. You're building trust with your community, and you're engaging with your audience. And so they're seeing you as a professional, but the most important is they're seeing you as a competent professional. So if you're demonstrating that you actually know what you're doing, you see this a lot with people in the cooking and the food niche, where they may be doing live streams and they may be cooking on air, and creating recipes, and they take you right through it. You see this with famous. They'll show you step by step. They're not necessarily concerned about you stealing them and starting a business. What is you see this with chefs all the time. They'll show you the soup to nuts how to do it. They're demonstrating their knowledge so that you come to the restaurant and you trust
Right.
that they're making good food. So if you give it away a little bit for people that want to do it on their own, that's great. And then the whole other side where you're demonstrating that you actually know what you're doing, and people are willing to pay you for your product or service. So that's a wonderful thing. And a webinar is just a focused way to do that. It's like a presentation, like you're giving a talk. So it's a good way to do that, and call to action if you're doing a live stream, asking people to sign up for that. Great way to extend that.
And before we get to Marty's last tip, we're gonna have him go over that here in just a second. I want to invite you guys, the audience, right now, while Marty's getting set for this last tip that he has on his list. If you have a tip that maybe we haven't covered on this show, put it in the chat room right now. We'll have Jeff taking a look at it while Marty's talking about this, and he can even bring that up here in just a few minutes after Marty gets done with this, because we really want to hear from you guys. I mean, if you have a special tip that you think that we can say on the show here for people that are going to go back and watch this, I think it's worth mentioning. So if you're in Facebook, if you're in LinkedIn, and you've got a tip for a call to action that you have found to be successful, put it in the chat room right now, and then we'll have Jeff take a look at that. So Marty, go ahead with the final tip that you have on your list.
Yes, and this involves related content, right? And inviting people. So you could two different ways to look at this. One, if you're doing a live show, live stream, and it's about a particular topic, and you may have other recorded video or media, or it might be a podcast, or it might be another live stream that you've done, and it may go into a deeper or another portion of the topic that you're talking about. You don't want to have the show just end and say bye everyone, see you later. Most of the time when people are tuning in, they're hopefully they're looking, they find it interesting, they want to say, well, what about more from you? I want to see more. Always have something to direct them to. So if you're doing a live stream, maybe you're talking, we're in our case, maybe we're talking about microphones, and maybe Steven's done a video about how to pick a good microphone for your live stream, and he has it on YouTube. Well, we can post a link and we say, here for more information after the show, go check out this video I did on. I did a review on the best microphone to use for podcasts. Say, um, if you're doing pre-recorded video, and I'll throw YouTube out there as an example. Many times, what you'll see from the better known YouTubers is always at the end. They never end their video just ending it. They'll always end it on a kind of a panel where they're always going to have another video for you to click to, So you always want to lead your viewer. Okay, at the end of this video, for more. Oh, you like what you're seeing? Here, check out this. You might be interested in this. So kind of leading them through, and hopefully, what you're going to do is they'll either subscribe to your channel or they'll become part of your community. But you always want to kind of lead them through and lead them to something else if they want to view. Here's something else to view if you have time, if you're interested. So never leave that as that's always an opportunity for you to check out, and again, continuing that engagement with your community.
Jeff, do we have anything on the? I know everybody's been paying attention. I haven't really seen many
Yeah,
many
everybody's been listening.
comments.
There hasn't been anyone to speak up, but I'm sure that the tip of the moment is that if you can keep asking Marty if you can work with it in Miami, he may do it.
Well, so that's what I was gonna say. I think Marty had everybody at Miami, and they're just kind of going over it. But and see if anybody else writes anything. Uh, no, Brad, he's not gonna invite you to Miami. Um, Jeff, do you have any tips that maybe weren't stated on Marty's great tip list here that you could instill your knowledge here to folks?
Well, I mean, Marty always does a great job, and he hit every major component of this, which is that you have to know again why you're asking somebody to do something and what that looks like, and then have a plan after that. Like he talked about the end of a video, pushing somebody to another piece of your content. That is golden because you've got that captive attention momentarily, and if you can send them to some other video or some other piece of value that you've produced, that's all the better for you. And so it's really kind of a holistic approach. And I think we overthink a lot of times calls to action. In the social world, we hear so often people use these buzzwords, influencer and content and branding, ETAs and things, but we never break them down into what that really looks like. And so I think, your giveaway that you did earlier is a great example of what it can look like. And that could even be deemed a social good kind of call to action because you might say, hey, everybody, pay it forward and I'm going to start and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm putting out a free resource. And if you're just wise about it and and you're intentional about what you're trying to do there, you will make an impact with people. And that call to action will pay off for you because that's where you're asking them to do something in return.
Yeah, I think that's something, even people they're sitting here, they're saying in the chat room here, like, "Hey, we're here, we're listening, it's good stuff." I think this is kind of grassroots. Would you guys kind of agree? This is kind of grassroots stuff when you start being a content creator, and I think sometimes people lose sight of the basic things, the simple things, like just being personable with your audience, right? That
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that too often we look at this whole social live stream thing formula. Like everybody's got an idea on your 5 tips, your 10 ways to do something. And you'll hear, get a hook in the first 5 to 10 seconds, which is really absolutely critical. Have a show open, and then have your main part of it, have your call to action. But too often when you formalize it like that, you begin thinking of it technically, and I would say almost like an accountant. You're not thinking creative. How can you one of those moments to really bring people into a bigger conversation about what you're trying to communicate? And if you think of it less as a formula, but more your own personal way of bettering the world in the area that you're an expert in, I think you're going to win.
Yeah, and the one gentleman, D's in the chat room, he says, basic marketing skills. That is something that you have to have as a content creator. You have to be able to market yourself because I've said this on my shows from time to time, and I don't know if you guys agree or if folks in the chat room. If you don't promote yourself, nobody else will. You have to be you have to be your biggest cheerleader. You have to be your biggest self-promoter, because if you're not going to do it, and listen, I am as guilty. Marty will tell you, I am as guilty as anybody, because I am not one of those guys that goes out of my way to brag on myself and say, "Hey, go watch this," or "Hey, go do this." It's just it's just not in my nature. Most of the time people find things organically because they're searching. And I need to do more of that. I need to be more self-serving, if you will, with that type of stuff. So, we're preaching to the choir here too. But I've also learned that when you're doing things like this, it is always good to allow, if you have other people on the show with you, like for instance, you don't hear Jeff sitting here bragging all about his 3 Emmy nominations or 4 Emmy nominations. We've been doing that. Well, he doesn't have to do that. And so it helps when somebody else on your show is kind of doing the bragging for you, because it doesn't make you look like pompous and arrogant, right? And in my case, I need to do it a little bit more and be a little bit pompous arrogant, I think. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
and
kidding.
I don't wanna interrupt there, but I'll say something about that. I'm a big believer that if you put out good content, valuable content, and it sounds like these words are almost cliche at this point. What is value? You know when you strike a nerve with someone, when you're putting something out that catches them emotionally and they want to engage with it, whether being nominated for an award or whether it's really reaching people that you're really trying to help. Maybe you're trying to inspire people to be not just better at video, but be better at putting up with the world and the chaos we live in. I think that if you do that, you don't have to brag. Bragging to me has always been a word that you use in place of actually doing something that did have value. And you're right, other people will take notice of it. You'll be
Yeah.
able to put yourself more forward. I heard last night I was at a great local meeting for LinkedIn, and someone said, "You want to be audacious without being obnoxious." And I thought, boy, that's a brilliant way of saying what we're talking about today is to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid of it, but at the same time, don't do it in a way that's everyone crazy.
Yeah, and
Yeah, and I'll just tie this up real quick, just to tag on what you guys both said. Um, the accolades will come from other people, like you said, Stephen. The accolades will definitely come if you demonstrate that you know what you're doing. That people will sing your praises. That's a result of what you've done. So let that happen naturally. The part about self promotion is important, and there's a fine line there where I've seen people do it based on accolades. It's like, well, that's not really valuable to the viewer. What you want to do is self promote that, let people know, oh, I have this, I'm talking about this, and it could be valuable to you. And that's the part you want to promote is that this is going to help people. You want to sing that, you want to really make that the primary message. And if you don't do it, people don't know that, especially if you're starting out, people don't know you're doing it unless you tell people. But and that's where the difference is, because I've seen people where they talk about views and this and that. It's like, or I'm an expert, and no, you don't have to. Other people can make that judgment. All people want to know is, why am I showing up? Why am I giving you 30 minutes? And is it going to be something valuable? And I'm going to hear something valuable. That's what you should be promoting. So if you're when you're crafting your message, concentrate on that. The accolades and all that, like we kid around with Jeff, and we'll handle that. Other people will handle that, and Jeff will never do that anyways,
right.
and none of us do. But that's the message that you need to send out there for sure.
And there's a gentleman in the chat room, George Marshall says, "Grow your show." That's a tip, and that's it really, because that's the only way you're going to grow your show. I mean, we get on here, and the three of us have had this
Yeah.
discussions about with influencers and things like that. We and I've seen it in this one industry that I'm in currently, where people be like, "Oh, I've got 10,000 subscribers on YouTube," but when I do a live show, I have maybe 50 people that come watch it, or I have you know you know let's
10. Yeah.
10, yeah, 100 to like 1,000 views on my videos, or 2,000 views. And so that's not really a measuring stick. I think people need to get over the
Mhm.
fact that you have even 10,000. 10,000 is a small number in the grand scheme of things, and not let things like that go to your head. There's certain platforms I have 50,000 subscribers and followers, and I don't let it go to my head, because in the grand scheme of things, it means absolutely nothing. Well, how many of these people are actually engaged with you? How many of these people are coming back for more? How many of these people are learning something from you? Or are they just doing it out of courtesy? And that's what I think we're all saying here.
Yeah.
It's quality over quantity. And I think if you have quality calls to action, you're going to receive quality people back following your every move. Don't get discouraged if you have 10 people watching or 20 or even 100. If you have quality
That's
people
right.
watching, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to one of our viewers, D's Hood. I love what you're saying in the chat. And he's saying, hey, quick marketing tip, cross promote with at least 3 colleagues. Don't count on your show itself as being the voice and the mouth of what you're trying to do. Get out there and talk to people and share your value. And I think if you do that, you're going to find that things can work even better for what you're trying to do. And Deez, we appreciate you being here and
Yeah, we're prime example of that. 3 different guys from 3 different shows coming together, collaborating, um, and this is what you get. So, but unfortunately, guys, episode 29 has come to an end. And it's so great to have my voice back and have a strong voice and not worry about my voice cracking every time I try to say something. So it only took 2 weeks, but it's here. So next week, the big 3-0, we turn 30 years old. No, 30 episodes old next week, and then the following week, I believe, is our final episode of 2019. It's here and gone so quick. We're going to be saying spring is here, and then we're going to say summer is here, and it's just going to go on and on. But for next week, this guy will be experiencing summer, and no, he's not taking
I
anybody
hope
with
so.
him. So Marty,
I hope it's not.
we look forward to seeing some footage when you get back from Miami at the Verizon party that you're doing, and we love the footage that you've showed so far. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow him, check him out, podjam.tv. Marty McPadden pretty much everywhere on social media if you want to give him a follower. He is a social media influencer, even though he'll tell you otherwise. He's got the blue check mark. I always give him a hard time about that. And and also we've got our future Emmy Award winner, Jeffrey Fitzgerald. You can check him out at jeffinhighdef.tv. He's pretty much Jeff in High Def, I think, just about everywhere. So make
yeah,
sure
I
you go
haven't
check
I
him out.
haven't I haven't gone to J and 4K yet. It's a little early.
Connect with him if you need some advice or help on your live video. And guys, pretty much, I'm the tech buzz everywhere. You can go find me just about anywhere. But we appreciate everybody coming out here today to watch on social. We always love this day, and we love the show to do this. And keep coming, keep giving the feedback of what you want to see coming for 2020. We're excited. We love to see what the future holds. And remember, we're going to do that giveaway. So mark your calendars. Be here 2 p.m. next week as we talk some more on social. Until next time, guys, we'll see you later. Have a great weekend and keep it social.